It's your boy Roy Jones Jr. and right now you tune into World Combat Sports.
Hello, once again. Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to World Combat Sports. What's good? Salute everyone on this Friday. Let me bring something up right quick. We got some hot topics to speak on. You know what it is. We have to address everything that's out there once again. Boxing has such a grocery list, right? So let's start picking from the a la carte. Just give me a minute. If you're in the building, you walk through the door, man, you know what to do. Hit the like button. Show support. It's always appreciated, especially those of you that drop through all the time. And no matter when I come on, you drop in and show your support, leave your input, and have that boxing dialogue. That's all I ask. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Shouty. Let me take care of this right quick. Be sure to tell others. Share the content. Hopefully everyone Friday is going well. Hopefully you're still following combat sports in general. You know what I'm saying? Don't talk about this Oscar Valdez situation. WBC, Mauricio Sulaiman. There's just so many topics to talk about, when it comes to boxing. That's very interesting. So I'm going to need your input. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to need y'all to leave some feedback. Let's talk about the Caleb Plant situation. Is there hope for boxing, man? Y'all bear with me for a minute. Is there hope for boxing? Leave your comments, man. Leave your comments on these topics so we can discuss them. I'm almost there. Give me a minute. So, let me go to the comments. Mo Boxing in the building. Salute, brother. Salute to you, bro. TJ Sports Nation, what's good? Salute, champ. Man, you the champ. Appreciate you pulling up, man. I want to, let's get right down to it. Appreciate everyone in the building, man. Hit the like button. Salute to you. Hopefully your Friday is going well. It's holiday weekend. So for those of you that's taking advantage of it, you have a long weekend. Be safe out there. I'm not going to give a long COVID speech because we don't know where the hell COVID's at. We just know somewhere, somehow you can pick it up. That's all I'm saying. Somehow, some way you can pick it up. We don't know where it's at or whatever. But to boxing, Mauricio Sulaiman has basically, displayed his position of authority once again. Mauricio Sulaiman continues to show us that being one of the superior sanctioned bodies in boxing, he's going to make the decisions no matter what it costs. He can do that. Like, he has a governing body. He has people that can vote on things. But we all pretty much understand that it's very contaminated within the WBC. And no one right now in boxing seems like they can stop this man from basically showing favoritism or biasness towards certain situations. He did it for Canelo Alvarez. He did it for Jimenez. Now he's doing it for Oscar Valdez. Canelo and Oscar pop positive, and then they changed the levels. Oscar, even though, I like Oscar, but when it comes down to him popping dirty, you're going to say, well, it wasn't on the ban list. So all of a sudden now we have substance that's being taken by fighters that's not on the ban list. So you don't want to, zoom in on the fighter. You don't want to zoom in on the trainer for having someone examining the ban list and then providing these fighters with that substance. that's not on the list, but yet it's still cutting corners. It's still considered a performance enhancing drug. You feel me? Like, how do we put a band-aid on all this stuff, and then when we scratch it off, peel back that scab, it's still an open sore, and the sores just got more and more infected in the sport of boxing when it comes to these pads. And this is, look, people, this shit is coming out of a pandemic. A pandemic. Boxing damn near was in the cemetery. They was damn near over there with BFTV with a headstone in the graveyard. They was damn near dead during the pandemic. Then once the restrictions are lifted and we have the primary footprints, starting to open them back up, and we have foot traffic. You think boxing is rejuvenated? The resurgency is where it's supposed to be. We get in the fights. We have regionals opening back up. We have people, being able to be employed and get their jobs, right? We're thinking boxing is on a whole nother track, you know what I'm saying, for prominence, to change it up, to get people back in the mood to respect the sport. And what happened? We had a scandal before the pandemic, i.e. Wilder Fury. Then, as boxing jump started later on in the year, it had some okay mediocre fights. And then 2021 has just been an absolute disappointment. This is one of the worst years of this modern era when it comes to boxing. It's just so many decisions that's being made. We can go back to even the Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin fight. How many times are we going to see a judge ringside score a fight 117, 111, have that huge of gap when the other two judges are not even close? Well, boxers say boxing is becoming desperately sad. Most definitely, man. Apparently, they're allowed to use it outside competition. Well, what are that? Why aren't more fighters using it? You know what I'm saying, Mo? Like, why are we just hearing this news? Why isn't it talked about more? This particular performance enhancing drug. They can use it outside of competition. So therefore, right, if Oscar Valdez was training for a fight and he tested positive, wasn't he using this in competition? Fight camp means you're in competition, right? You're training to step into the ring and get paid to contend. So that means he was using in competition. King Mitch in the building, salute, bro. Andrew in the building, salute, y'all. What's good? Isn't that correct? Like, when it comes down to it, right? If you in fight camp, isn't that considered competition because you already have signed on to step through the ropes? So therefore, if you pop positive, that means you're guilty. That means you're guilty. Even if you're trying to cycle off, right? And you pop positive because you're in fight camp and you take a random urinalysis and you pop, you're dirty. But how can Mauricio Sulaiman say it wasn't on the ban list? He was going to make his exception, his exception to the rule. He's going to once again open up that scar that boxing has. He continued to do it, y'all. Mauricio Sulaiman continued to prove and show his position of authority. He shows his iron fist. He shows that he don't play by anyone's rules except his own, y'all. That's Mauricio Don Juan Sulaiman. That's who that is. Mauricio Sulaiman, who is his hierarchy? Who is above Mauricio Sulaiman to shut him down? Who is it? I want y'all to help me out. Who is his authority? Who is Mauricio Sulaiman chain of command? Andrew Charles say, WCS salute, bro. What's good, Andrew? The scorecards are decided before the event. Yeah, it's supposed to be an observation. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be an observation. But in some of these fights there, Mo, yeah, a lot of them seem like they're already predetermined. Absolutely right on that. Absolutely. WBCA created another committee to allow Valdez to fight. Hey man, I couldn't have said it any better. How do we get past what's going on in boxing in general with not being able to see the fights we want, but yet when it comes to the WBC sanctioning body, it seems like every other fighter is benefiting from the WBC besides Wilder. Wilder had to do a standalone legality and seek adjudication through a court for arbitration. Why is everybody benefiting that's popping dirty except Wilder? I mean, I'm not trying to make it. The WBC. I don't get it, man. They should at least dock half his pay and give it to the other fighter. True. Valdez getting away unscathed. Yes, sir. Valdez, he has the I wouldn't say the complexion for the protection. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of Mexican fighters right now getting away with murder when it comes to boxing. But you can't really place the culpability on them when the higher ups is allowing it to happen. That's the underlying issue right here. Us as hardcore boxing fans, right? We expect and demand certain things to happen with boxing. That isn't the case right now because boxing is so corrupt, full of controversy. And then each and every time that we look forward to a big fight with the big names, we have to sit through the fight and hopefully everything goes the way we watched it and everybody else. If it goes to the scorecard and the person that truly won don't get robbed. That's the anxiety that we have to go through right now when it comes to watching the sport of boxing. We have to sit up here and keep our finger crossed that nothing happens especially when it comes to the WBC. I mean, Mauricio can say what he wants, but when Jimenez fought Franchon Cruz de Zern, he was up there trying to pretend like she had to fight for the belt to get the WBC back. This after the WBA had already given back their belt to Cruz de Zern. Mauricio Sulaiman said, you might have to fight. You might have to fight for your WBC strap. After this female that's transitioned into a male, she looked like she was on pads. Everything about her, all her physical dimensions, her anatomy, her structure, all of it showed that she was on some shit. And she went in there and she was walking through Franchon's punches. And we up here looking at this and like, damn, it looked like she's in there. People saying it looked like she's in there fighting freaking Antonio Margarito, goddamn Oscar De La Hoya. It looked like the Zern, she was fighting a dirty female fighter who's transitioned into a male, and she still didn't get stopped. She fought to the final bell. But when it came down to it, the WBC refused to, respect the decision with honor. You know what I'm saying? They refused to respect the decision with honor. Her piss test came back dirty, and they didn't even want to give Cruz de Zern her title back, man. WBC is the worst, man. You know, boxing in itself, I'm like looking at it like what can we do for boxing, man? There's nothing we can do. Yeah, Zapata, man. Shout out to Zapata. You know, Zapata, rest in peace, Zapata. Another fighter, a female, died. We don't usually see the females, passing away in the ring, but shout out to Zapata who just died. Prayers and blessing goes out to her family. Appreciate you bringing that up there, Mitch. A young chick just died. Boxing doesn't give a F. Bless the young lady's soul. Condolences to her family and loved ones. All good now. Valdez has the last name for the shame. WBC and Mr. Hella Sean strikes again. IB in the building. What's going on in there? What's good? WCS salute, brother. Salute to you, man. Appreciate you pulling up. A piece of advice on boxing: just don't take it serious because they're not taking the fans serious. That's a true point. So let me ask you this, Mo. Since they're not taking the fans serious and we the one pay, we the one pay to come sit in those seats and support the fighters. The fighters shouldn't be reprimanded. The fighters are in a sport that themselves, they're fighting a losing battle sometimes. Sometimes the fighters like Maestro want to cut corners and cheat and get his hands wrapped and go in there and try to get over on Michael Fox, who absolutely won the fight fair and square. And he wasn't even the betting favorite. So boxing, let me ask y'all this: boxing in itself, just like that Mo said, they're not taking the fans serious. Who is boxing though? There's so many branches to the tree when it comes to boxing. Who can we say that is boxing? See, when it comes to, let's just say, the UFC, you understand who the president is of the UFC. You understand the bottleneck structure that happens with the titles that they have. All right. That's why they're able to make the fights that the fans want to see. And that's why it's not that complicated. But in boxing, who is at the top of the echelon? Who is the hierarchy? Who is at the top? You know what I'm saying? Who is at the highest tier that can make a decision that affect everyone below them? Who is basically expressing and giving the orders? It's no one in boxing that can delegate the orders, y'all. How can we have a United States president, right? Check this out. We have a United States president, but even he has to go through Congress. How can boxing exist as long as it has, and there's no one overseeing boxing as a sport to basically be able to override some of these decisions that's being handed down by the sanctioning bodies? That's why boxing is on fire right now for the wrong reason. It's burning down. It's smoldering. It's in smoke right now, period. Because boxers, they go here and fight their heart out, some of them. They go through all these these motherfucking robberies in the amateur ranks. They go through spar and they put themselves them heavy ass gloves and go in there and take all that damn brain damage, right? Go through a fight camp, travel for different sparring partners. It's so many backstories out here to these fighters, and then they go in the ring and get robbed. So to the fighters, it's kind of like a medicine. It's almost like an acclimation that they went through, because they used to being somewhat robbed in the amateurs. So when they get robbed in the professionals, they just reflect back on the amateurs and say, oh, I've been through here before. I got robbed before. It happens in the sport. You know what I'm saying? That shit is crazy, bro. WBC president played the gay card for Jimenez. They didn't want to give Cruz her belts back. That's a whole nother wedge right there, Mitch. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to support a different type of group when it came to combat sports. But see, within that support, they just basically overlooked and diluted the fact that she cheated. They wanted to make it about her transition. Oh, she was this, and those of you that's here talking about Jimenez, there are pictures of her as a woman, and now you are saying that it is Oscar de la Hoya. It is not indeed Oscar de la Hoya. I mean, your shit was funny to me. I think she deserved all of it because she did look like Antonio Margarito. She did. She did look like Eric Morales. I'm just saying. She looked like all of them. They were going to try to cheat Shields next with Jimenez. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Andrew. That's who they wanted. They wanted the creme de la creme. They wanted a Shields fight. They wanted Jimenez to go in there and walk through Shields like she did DAZN, so they can put another Mexican fighter up there at the top and say she's the next best thing, even though she's a fabric of Antonio, Eric, and Oscar de la Hoya. And let's throw Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. and Jr. in there. Let's throw Roberto Duran, the Hands of Stone. Yeah, Monster the Main. You know what I'm saying? Let's throw him in there. She was all of those in one fighter. And they tried to make it about the LGBT, whatever. You're right, man. They was gonna set Clarissa up for that female to come in there all juiced up so she can be the new face. But no one never would have accepted her if she would have went in there and beat Clarissa. Because look, Clarissa Shields would have made such a big deal out of it. Like, look, Clarissa understands and knows a lot about the sport of boxing. So if she would have stepped in there with Jimenez, she would have been like, check this out. I know I don't have the most power, but she's on something. She's on something. For her to be in my weight class and she's throwing punches the way she is, she has the cardio that she has, she must be on something. Y'all need to take a look at that. Hell yeah. D Hodges, OG, what's good, man? Miss say boxing doesn't have many real fans, just a bunch of cock holsters of fighters they choose to support, mostly for racial reasons. Unfortunate for boxing, like Mitch and everybody else is in the chat, boxing does have a depth of racial insensitivity. Absolutely. And right now, for some reason, they're blatantly trying to induce an uprising. Like, they're really pushing these Mexican fighters, man, by all means necessary. They're pushing these Mexican fighters, man. They're pushing these European fighters by all means necessary. It doesn't make a difference. They're pushing these cats, man. Mo Boxing, man, appreciate the donation, my brother. Appreciate you. Salute to you. He says the fighters need to make Cash App or other means we can support. Hey, man. What did I say like several weeks ago? And then I couldn't tell you the other time I mentioned it. What did I say that needs to happen with the media? Because I don't feel that boxing, in a sense, the boxers should protest the sport because they can't afford to. It's almost like what they went through during the pandemic. They can't afford it. But us as media, we can. Even if it's 72 hours, put a thumbnail up and protest the boxing like I mentioned earlier, and then make a point. Because you look, a lot of these media outlets that's way larger, have a much larger audience than mine. All of those individuals that look forward to seeing you coming on here and talking this boxing, they're going to feel some type of way when they look at that thumbnail and say, damn, so-and-so's protesting boxing. They must really, totally take this serious about what's going on. They mean it. So I look at it this way. We cannot sit up here and delegate a boxer to protest a sport for which they're trying to eat, and they're going through the training and they got to go in the gym and all that, and we're up here creating content. The YouTube community is much larger when it comes to sending a message right, like this. We have to be the first to protest, man. We look. The reason why I say that is that it's a lot of boxers that's being interviewed by platforms on this YouTube. So if we take the first stance and protest and put up the thumbnail in protest and allow your audience to see it, they're not only going to miss you, right? But they're going to get the message that you're sending in protest for boxing. You have to do it. You can't ask a boxer who's barely making any money and fighting twice a year, or maybe the ones who's fighting 5 times a year, but they making very little monetary gain. You know what I'm saying? They got bills to pay, they got teams to pay, training camp and all that. We have to do it because most of us on here have employment, a method of employment. So 72 hours is not going to break. If you're on YouTube and this is your bread and butter like that, and you can't take a day off, something is wrong. Seriously, something is absolutely wrong. Let's all, congregate together and take 72 hours, especially these larger platforms, and let your audience see your message, feel your message. And the only thing it's going to do, you're not going to lose any members. It's just going to make them come back even harder because they miss you for 72 hours talking this boxing. They know it's hot topics out there. But guess what? You're sending a message not only to your audience, but you're sending it to boxing. We need to clean up the sport. They say boxing as a sport is extinct. It's a facade, currently a figment of our imagination. Boxing is a blood-sucking scam disguised as a business and a sport. Hey, doesn't it? Boxing will basically relieve all your motherfucking white blood cells. It will break down your immune system. Look, boxing to me is like mucus. What can cure mucus? Mucus. You know what I'm saying? What's the only way you can get rid of mucus? You got to spit it out. You got to come out through your nose. Mucus kills. Boxing is just like that. There's no hierarchy to basically stop the madness and what's going on with individuals being robbed. And then when a boxer, get in trouble in a restaurant, they want to damn plaster it all over the screen. Oh, boxer here, in a restaurant trying to walk out. He's a millionaire. What's going on? A boxer's in an accident. A boxer ran a red light. A boxer punches another, civilian in public. What about the sport, though? What about the sanctioning bodies who are robbing these individuals? WBC, WBA. But the Grand Poobah is absolutely the WBC. That's a good point there, Mitch. It's a good point. Jimenez was Hammy McGee versus Cruz beat the poor woman's hairpiece off. Man, I know, man. Oh, my God. But shout out to Cruz Lazarm. I respect the shit out of her and her husband, man. They're good people, man. Real talk. That, her husband's cool. You want to interview, he ain't there standing there and shit, running interference. Shout out to the Zerms. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to both of them, man. Black couple, in the sport of boxing, making it work. Both of them cats, both of them fight. Respect to the non-biased media that keep it and put the footwork in for the sport of boxing. Salute, man. Real talk. Real talk. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. Cruz doesn't have the wheels that Grote has. She'll dance around Jimenez all night. Yeah, man. One thing we know about Carissa Shields, she can box her ass off. Period. She can box. But let me ask you this, though. How do we protest it? How do we protest it? We can't ask or request the fighters to protest a sport that they're making money off of. It just doesn't have a backup plan B and C for them to make residual income, man. These fighters are struggling. Like, we can't just look at the fighters who out here showing us all their damn expensive material items that they earn from boxing. What percentage is that across the board when it comes to boxing? Is it 30? Is it 48%? Because it ain't half. Is it anywhere close to half of the boxers in the sport being able to protest and now have to go out there and rob somebody to put food on their table? I'm like, y'all tell me, how do we come up with a structure, a POA, a plan of attack, a COA, a course of action? How do we come up with that format to protest the sport of boxing? Mitch say, word I be. Not many of them, though. We need more attention on the non-biased media that keeps it solid. Hey, man, you know what it is. You know, people, this day and time, we already know what that is, man. Not to get off topic. But people that's crazy to me to even thought I took it for granted at one point in time. And I still do. You know what I'm saying? Because I look at it like this. I'm speaking to grown-ass men and women in here. But you find grown-ass men and women that love reality TV, bro. They love reality TV. They want to hear some lies. Tell me a lie. Well, what Mauricio Don Juan Sulaiman did for Oscar Valdez, it's within the code of ethics in boxing. He did nothing wrong. He's the president. Don't sit up here and badmouth him. Don't sit up here and denigrate Mauricio. He's the one that took over for his dad, Jose. Don't be mad at him, man. He's in a freaking position of authority where it's very stressful for him. They want to hear some shit like that, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. That's what they want to hear. They want to hear shit that's not even close to the truth. They want to hear something that makes them think so they can write it in the live chat. I don't agree with that. Or you do agree with it. But it's good for conversation because it's nowhere close to the truth. Jimenez was literally transforming into a whole nigga. Yeah, man. You ain't lied, man. Did she? She came up there. I was like, who is this? Yeah, Honey McGill fighting this weight? What? In the female? What are we talking about? God damn. Roberto Loran, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., Jr., reincarnated. This female looked like everybody. You know what I'm saying? Salvador Sanchez. Damn, took over for his dad, for real, man. What's going on? Bruce Gold's in the building. That's good there, Bruce, on this Friday. I don't know, man. You know, the sad part about this entire thing is boxing is no structure to provide any reform for it. How is boxing reform going to be implemented when there's not an organization that's residing over the sanctioning bodies? You can't put the boxing commission, because the boxing commissions are standalone in each region. If you had some type of organization or group of individuals that are the approved authority or able to regulate boxing in a sense where they can override certain decisions, point blank, period. You know what I'm saying? If a fight was an absolute robbery and the judges was deemed in contempt, so to speak, of cheating, they can override that and they can basically give that belt to the rightful winner without vacating the belt, right? Why the hell WBA is going to vacate the belt between Maestre and Fox without just giving the belt to Fox? I look at it like this. What is the source for it being vacated? Is it the one judge that scored a gap for the fight that was nowhere close to the other two judges? Was it the point that Maestro tried to cheat and the referee caught it? Was it the point that he didn't win the fight? So therefore, if it's C and he did not win the fight, then shouldn't you give that belt to the source? It's like deductive reasoning. We're putting together all the evidence to come up with a formula for the conclusion. And the conclusion was something wasn't right with that fight. And the wrong fighter had his hand raised. So if that's where we at right now, why not just give the belt back, the belt to Fox? Don't vacate it. And now Maestro say he don't want to fight Fox no more. That's the bullshit right there. How do we sit up here and come up with something that has structure? You know what I'm saying? Something that has a format to it, almost like a PowerPoint presentation. You have to have a standard operating procedure, because this boxing shit is just way, way out of control. Like, it's been out of control for decades with the cheating and scandal and controversy. But now it's just like Mauricio Sulaiman has his favorite fighters. Obviously, he's in bed with the Reynoso camp. And Canelo Alvarez popped positive for clenbuterol. They increased the levels because of this, that, and the other. You know, a motherfucker eating meat. Then Oscar Valdez, well, they come up with a plethora of alternatives as to why he popped positive and it wasn't on the ban list. And why hasn't anyone else ever went through this situation? That's my question, people. Somebody explain that. Why haven't we seen another fighter deemed responsible for taking a banned substance or a performance enhancing drug that is not on the list? Let me ask you this. Have y'all thought about how they test fighters? So if the drugs that's in your system comes up on the A and B sample, they're alerted to the A and B sample popping dirty. But yet, the potency of that drug popping on a piss test is not enough for them to have already had a fighter in the past pop dirty with the same drug. How can this shit not be on the banned substance list? How can there be all these fighters, all these boxers, and that particular conversation or topic haven't even came to the surface yet? It hasn't even been a topic of discussion. But yet when Oscar Valdez does it, it's not on the ban list. But yet it's considered a performance enhancing drug, right? And then, you know, Valdez, I know he gets on here and he breaks his silence, so to speak. And he talks about how many times he's been drug tested and all that. I get it. Valdez, I get it. And you wanted to suggest, you know, VADA testing and all that. There's a lot of people who have suggested VADA testing. There's a lot of people who suggested a lot of things to make themselves look a certain way. But then once you in it and you pop dirty, you're going to go back to, well, I basically put myself in VADA. Good for you. So basically you put yourself in VADA hoping that whoever's your nutritionist or whoever's giving you the performance enhancing drugs, they know what they're talking about. That's where the problem comes in at. The person that was up there supplying this to Oscar Valdez, just like when Freddie Roach said he used to come in there and see Manny Pacquiao drinking a bottle of whatever it was, and whoever that guy was, is one of his trainers, say, you know, don't worry about it. You don't need to know what this is. Almost like the Panama Lewis shit. Panama Lewis used to do some crazy shit like that. Have a different type of liquid, in the given to his fighters in the ring, and manipulating the padding in gloves and stuff like that. That's why him and Luis Resto was incarcerated. But how do we, as the boxing audience, how do we come together to begin the protest? How do we come together and allow our audience to become the roots of the protest? Because it's a lot of individuals that's waiting to see you all the time. So those individuals that's in the live chat, they're the roots. They're going to make this grow. They're going to spread the word. They're going to share the content. They're going to say, wow, I can't believe so-and-so ain't on right now. I'm so used to them coming on each and every day at the same time, but they're protesting for 72, 96 hours. Then we'll you can say it's a YTBC community. Right now, you can't say it's a YTBC. But if all of us can come together and protest on YouTube, then it seems like it is a boxing community on this platform. Right now, it's just everybody to each his own, all for one, and one for all. That's what it seems on here. Everybody doing their own thing. They're pretty much making content creators. But as a unity, cohesively, it would be good to come together and talk about protesting against boxing, because it's getting way out of hand blatantly. And it seems like nobody can stop Mauricio Sulaiman from doing it. It seems like no one can basically stop the judges from screwing over these fighters. It seems like the WBA, they tried to be a Mauricio Sulaiman, but yet they want to sit up here and say, you know what? I want to do away with the WBA regular titles. I want to clean up the sport. What? Who gives a fuck about you cleaning up the sport when you fucking over fighters? How are you going to take away the WBA regular title in certain divisions? If you're going to remove the regular, remove it from every damn division that you have one. Just don't take it from this division, because you already have a predetermined plan for this fighter to move up and be champion. It makes absolutely no sense, man. All the roid gurus I knew were all experts on nutrition and training. There you go. You know what I'm saying? Nutrition. Listen, people, if you don't know, nutrition is very much a key. Like, performance enhancing drugs can go in food, it can go in liquid, it can go in oral supplements. It's just too much. People talk about snack all the time. Right? You always hear them talk about it. But you see fighters wearing of a person that was convicted and well-known drug cheat. How do you when the streets, they'll say, oh, well, he had to snitch on some people for him to get out and still come back to, in a sport where he can potentially be doing the same thing he was convicted for. But the fighters will wear that sponsorship with no F's given. They don't give a fuck. Mr. 21 Strong in the building, what's good with you? They will wear a snack t-shirt with no problem, knowing that its backstory is drowned in drugs, performance enhancing drugs. But they'll wear the shirt. If they can get some free supplements and shit like that, they'll wear it. I don't know if boxing can ever have a residing governing body. I don't know if boxing can ever have a single president residing over the sport that's incapable of being influenced by the sanctioning bodies, of being paid off. I don't know a person out there that can do that. Who can do it? I mean, should we have someone? Because there's plenty of people that's in boxing that never boxed. Okay, so we can extract that. They don't have to have experience in the sport to be able to be a part of something. You know what I'm saying? They just have to have the leadership skills, wherever that came from. They just have to have the leadership skills. But is there someone out there that can organize a group of individuals? I'm not sure what the numbers need to be. It don't need to be huge. It just need to be enough. It doesn't need to be huge. It just needs to be enough. And have a single president that's able to oversee and then communicate with those selected individuals within this organization to be able to overturn, reprimand, and basically regulate boxing in a different manner for which it is right now. Just basically clean up the fiasco that we see all the time with the judges, with the refs, with the decisions, all that shit. That's what we need to do. And then the fighters will feel a lot better going in there, performing the way they should, knowing that they're not going to be robbed at the end of the day. See, in mixed martial arts, you can go up for a title fight and lose, fight 2 more times and be right back in the seat for a title shot. In boxing, you get a title shot. It depends on what your race is. It depends on what your team, who's your team. It depends on where you at in boxing as far as your ranking, your wins. You know what I'm saying? Are you something that's special? Are you important? Everybody can't get that Nonito Donaire treatment. He loses to Munster in a way. And then he goes right over to the WBC and fight Nordine Bali. Who in the hell gets that treatment? Nonito Donaire. Name me a brother who was able to get that Sergey Deryanchenko treatment. He had 2 times to fight for the vacant IBF. He failed. Then they send him over there to Charlo. Who gets that? Name a black fighter who gets that special treatment. I'm waiting. We put them on pedestals. That's how fucked we are. Yes, sir. We do. We put them on a big pedestal, man. You know, we see these individuals that screwing us over. We paying for PPV, and we get screwed over on the decision. But yet we see them in person at these fights, and they be running up with the camera going, Mauricio, let me get an interview. Eddie. Eddie, let me get an interview, Eddie. IB said, we all should know what Victor Conte did. And if you don't, I advise you to do your research. Shaking my head. Yes, sir. Do your research on Conte. Do your research. That's facts. That's facts. L Dub in the building, man. Salute, man. Y'all be sure to, go support L Dub, man. Go support the man, the myth. You know what I'm saying? Check him out. The monster's too big to kill. Okay, Bruce, check this out, though. We ain't trying to kill the monster. You know what I'm saying? We ain't trying to kill it. We're just trying to tame it there, Bruce. We're just trying to get some clarity. You know what I'm saying? We're just trying to tame it a little bit so it doesn't just go out here reckless. You know, you can let it out the gate and it still act like it's trained and it has what's the word I'm looking for? It has a bit of sanity. You know what I'm saying? Order to it. We're looking for order. That's all. We're looking for order. We ain't trying to kill the monster because that's impossible. You can't kill boxing. Look, Bruce, the only thing that damn near killed boxing was something we don't even know what it looked like. We don't even know where to find it. And that was a virus. The virus indirectly almost killed boxing. That's amazing, huh? Something indirectly damn near killed boxing because everything was shut the fuck down. Gyms was shut down, and they made sure that they was fining people who try to operate their gyms during the pandemic. So they couldn't take the risk of having a gym shut down and fine. So you had boxers out here. Someone was training in their bathroom. You know what I'm saying? Some people was just freaking trying to go through all depths of hell to get some type of training in, man. But that's the only thing that basically could shut down boxing. If it was something that was nationwide and caused the exterior for the mandates to be handed down that prohibited fighters from being able to train. Why? Because the fighters can't train in the facility to shut the fuck down. Boxing needs a Dana White. He tells them where and when they show and fight. Yes, sir. I want to know this, though. Is it possible for somebody... Could Dana White be the president of the UFC and boxing? Being that he's, I know Bellator has a president too. You know what I'm saying? But check this out. Is it possible for someone like Dana White to teach someone to be a president? And how would the voting process be? How would the voting process be for someone to step in for boxing and be the overseer? Just like the commission, just like in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? I mean, who can it be? That's the biggest question, man. And it has to be someone that's not going to be in no way, shape, or form influenced by money. Because we're going to be back from square one. We're going to be right back to seeing fights full of corruption, knowing that this particular fighter won, but they were robbed. I mean, we need somebody. How do we select the individual? Who do we select? How is that process going to go? I said again, the monster is too big to kill. That white thing was just a dream. Yeah. Yes, sir. It's huge, man. Boxing is out of control because you have individuals that anyone can get a promoter's license. Anyone can start robbing fighters on the regional tier. It happens. I've seen it. It's just so many people with their hands in the pot. Everybody can be a promoter, but they can't. Like you have to have some reserve. You have to have some monetary reserve to be able to put these fights on. You have to be able to get insurance for the fight card and all this other shit. And then you have matchmakers, you have managers. Within that little area, some fighters sign their life away in boxing, all because the money looks good right away. And then some fighters, they don't want to commit. They want to be independent until they are able to get with someone that's going to look after them. And that's far and few in between, man. It's not even that easy. You say independence and you don't get fights. There's plenty of independent people out here, independent fighters, but they can't get the big fights because they don't have nobody to push, to push them out there, get that promotion behind them. You can go out here and knock out 30 motherfuckers in a row. But if they don't know who the hell you are, you're going to be up here like Zerto. I like him, but dude has over 40 victories, undefeated. Former super middleweight champion. Now at 175, trying to call out Demetrius Bivol And no one really, I'm talking about, unless you're the hardcore fans, know who Gilberto Ramirez is. The UFC ain't perfect neither. It's Dana White. But when decisions go the wrong way and judges get on that bullshit, Dana White be ready to ride on the entire state athletic commission. Yep, yep. There you go. If you know that, Mitch, then a lot of other people should know it. I never said the UFC was perfect. I'm just saying when we get to the fights, just look at it this way. When you talk about race in boxing, a certain fighters, certain situations lean heavy, like extremely heavy in racial discrimination, extremely heavy. But when you look at the UFC, even Bellator, you have champions out there, white, black, you know what I'm saying, Mexican, Venezuelan. I mean, Chinese. We had the first ever Chinese world champion in Wiley Zhang, at the strawweight division. I mean, you have champions from different races. But the whole point I'm trying to get at is we're able to see more championship fights. We're able to see more fighters get second and third chances to fight for a belt. We get to see the best fighting the best over in mixed martial arts on a consistent basis. Boxing be on some bullshit with this promotion is gonna keep it in house, and we ain't fighting nobody outside of it because we're desperately trying to get money. Oh man, it's crazy. It's crazy, people. Boxing will never die. We love it. It's just a business. It's so rotten and deep. I think we will live with what we got. I can't go against the grain in that. Because as much as we get on here and we will scrutinize, with criticism, boxing, we will sit up here and watch it. If you give us two names that we can say, okay, I like that fight. I like that fight. Is it gonna happen though? We just have to wait till it happen. And then we get the hoopla of like the lightweight division, all that shit was going on. The welterweight division, the Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Now we getting the back and forth with Caleb Plant and freaking Canelo Alvarez. It didn't happen before, but now it's happening next, so to speak. We want the suspense in the right way. We want the names on paper contractually agreed upon, and we want them to fight. We don't want the Ryan Garcias, Mr. Capion, to say, "Well, I want Gervonta Davis." No, I don't want Gervonta Davis. I'm fighting something bigger. I'm fighting somebody big. I'm Manny Pacquiao. No, I'm not fighting Manny Pacquiao. And then your team come out and say, we was nowhere close. They wasn't even the topic of discussion for Ryan Garcia to fight Manny. See, that's the shit we need to do away with. Get the fuck away from here with that. Even the Teofimo debacle that's been going on with him and George Kambosos. Even the situation with Devin Haney, where fighters are just ducking Devin Haney. I have to call it for what I see. They're just ducking him. Like it was so much hype behind potentially Teofimo Lopez after Kambosos fighting Haney from his pops, from him, and all this other shit. And then Bob Arum comes out because he needs the money. Oh, no, we're going to make Lopez versus Lomachenko rematch. See, that's the shit that hurts. That's when you find out you thought you had the vaccine, but yet it was Ebola virus. That's when that shit hurts the most, man. You think you're about to get something special, and it's nowhere even close. I told y'all over and over again how boxers will say, okay, I got big news. Or you'll see a media outlet say, Sean Porter Sean Porter and Terrence Crawford are in talks. When y'all hear that shit, you should just don't take it for nothing. It's straight up garbage. When you hear that saying this fighter and this fighter are in talks, it means nothing. Jojo Diaz and Devin Haney are in talks. Jojo Diaz and Richard Comey in talks. Jojo Diaz and Ryan Garcia, and it makes no difference. It's bullshit. In talks mean it's good for conversational piece. It goes no further than that. I feel for Haney. I'm pretty convinced there's conspiracy to keep him on ice. I don't want to make this a Devin Haney freaking live stream. I want to see the brother. I always wanted to see the brother go out there and succeed. But what did I say? Anybody who heard me criticize Devin Haney, what did I say? I said you need to do more than being on IG. Because, you know, if you up here on IG and you flung your material possessions, but yet you're not fighting anybody in the ring, that basically equates to you being a superstar, that you being paid the big money. People are just gonna say, we don't have time for it. But as I say that, I like the way his team has been listening. I know it's tough for them to listen to media speak on it. I have to salute Bill Haney for the work and hours that he put in talking for his son. But with all that said, I'm just going to keep it a buck and factual. With all the work, why aren't we seeing the lightweight division being tossed on his head and Devin Haney being one of the top names being matched up with some other top names in the lightweight division? Of all the platforms he's been on, working hard out here to advocate for his son, still you got fighters up here that's his mandatory that won't even step in the ring with him. But they've been listening. They've been listening. The reason why I say they've been listening, because the way Haney came out and fought Jorge Linares, I liked it. I mean, he put on a show, man. He put on a damn show. But now we have to fight some top tier names with the O on their record. We need the top tier names. If you're going to call them the Fab Five or whatever, we need them to fight. We need the Gervonta Davises. We need the Ryan Garcias. We need the Teofimo Lopez's, the Devin Haneys. You know what I'm saying? We need all these big names, even Vasil Lomachenko. We need these top names to be able to come together without the hoopla and the damn masquerade out here in the media. We need for them to come together and sign and let that ink dry so we can see them. Like Gervonta Davis, I hear his name popping up. I like how Gervonta Davis is moving. But he's going to have to look. His mentality in general is to step in the ring with somebody who sells tickets. And the only name out of the top lightweight division he's mentioned was Ryan Garcia. I believe he will destroy Ryan Garcia. I believe he stops Ryan. If he doesn't play with his food, he stops Ryan Garcia early. But if he plays with it, he probably stopped Ryan just like, ninth round, give the fans a show. You know what I'm saying? Ninth round, 10th round. We know Gervonta Davis plays around with his food. And Ryan Garcia is absolutely food for Gervonta Davis. Absolutely. But let's keep, I won't say keep the fingers crossed, but let's keep on supporting Bill and them that's out here because he's grinding, man. That man out here grinding for Devin. I ain't gonna lie. Lopez, Lopez, Team Lopez. You know what I'm saying? I don't have nothing to say about Ryan Garcia. He can go out here and freaking hit a brick wall, man. I could care less. That dude is Mr. Capion, dog. Ryan Garcia, aka Senor Capion, for real. Senor Capion. He said Senora. Senora Capion. I be at El Dub Boxing Salute. We ain't got to make it about him, but the blatant duckery stands out. To keep it on topic of corruption, I feel someone is advising his mandatories and contemporaries not to fight him. Man, that's a solid point right there, Mitch. I mean, Andrew. That's a solid point, bro. I have to mention this. We see Bill on all these platforms. But look, understand what I'm saying, right? Check this out. This is the clarity I'm trying to bring to it, right? I hate using the L word logic when it comes to the complexity of an open platform of social media. But this what I always stress, that YouTube does not have any structure when it comes to the so-called YTBC. All right? Because the YTBC has not made a big fight. You're able to make your voice heard because of your video content, and it's able to be shared in multiple platforms. What I'm getting at is the work that Bill Haney puts in is commendable. I salute him. And shout out to IKey TV. I know for a fact that was the right platform for him to basically disperse and distribute media about Devin Haney, not skip mark. So when it comes to him putting in hours and hours and hours of work and being accessible to the YouTube community, after all of that, he can't get his son's mandatories to fight. That's what I'm talking about. No control. The YouTube community has absolutely no control over boxing. They're just an entity with a voice that's able to create content with basically a volume of freedom. That's all YouTube is. No one's up here making fights on YouTube. You can interview 100 fighters, but when it comes to the promoters, they can give a damn about the content you put out. They saying thanks for the free promo. This dude's has been on here 10 years. 10 years. And they don't have an influence on making fights in boxing. This cat's been on here over 10 years. But how do we change that? I don't know, to be honest, because I look at it like this. If we're frustrated, imagine how frustrated Team Haney is at the fact that his mandatories won't even step in the ring with him. So now we go from Devin Haney not fighting top opposition. I was one of them. I'll stand by that initially. And I'm still looking forward to him fighting better competition. But I can understand from assessing his last fight with Jorge Linares, Devin Haney fought different than he did against Yorkis Gamboa. I think the performance that he put on against Jorge Linares was one of his best. He was dancing in there, man. It was magical. It was a sweet science. But everybody just want to talk about the 10th round when he got hurt. But let's talk about these mandatories. If you looked at Jorge Linares, hurt him in the 10th round, why isn't that bleeding over to his mandatories to step in the ring? Okay, if you felt that Jorge Linares can hurt him, you should have confidence in yourself to say, I can do the same. Let's make the fight. No, all these motherfuckers pulling out. Ryan Garcia pulling out. Jojo Diaz? Javier Fortuna? I mean, how many people gonna goddamn pull out and they mandatories, dog? Well, I agree with Mitch though. Boxing is a joke, so much so that a fight to be ordered is now prime time news. The game is oversaturated with bullshit. Who's gonna moderate? Look, who's gonna moderate that? No one. IB say at Andrew Charles, gotta call it like we see it. Yes, sir. Always. I'll give Hearn a bit of blame in the Haney situation. I think they can get one of those guys in the ring if Hearn and the Zones throws a nice check at them. Mitch, this is what I disagree with, because how long were they with Hearns? And let's look at the roster of fighters that he fought while he was signed to Eddie. So we can't look at it like right now that Eddie Hearns is going to have this incredible source of influence, because he had the position to have this influence before. And we already know what's on the record. So all of a sudden his mandatories are ducking him, and Eddie Hearns is going to say, okay, let me be stern with the rest of these. Let me find a way to get these mandatories to fight. That's just another fucked up situation in boxing where a mandatory can dictate whether they're going to step through the ropes. Why are you fighting to be a mandatory if you're not even going to accept the challenge? Tell me that. Why fight to be a mandatory if you're not going to accept the challenge? I also bring up Haney because I think he's a good example of the extra shit top tier American fighters got to deal with just to get opportunities. Solid point once again. Solid point. It's a part of boxing that like when I was just sitting back and I wasn't doing lives and I was looking at this shit, I wasn't doing consistently. I probably never do them consistently because I don't have to. But that doesn't mean I don't have a passion to do it. It's just I'm reading a lot about mixed martial arts. I'm watching BJJ tournaments and all this. But back to what this is. This is right here, right? Why isn't Haney a person that's rarely on social media, right? There's only certain situations that Haney spoke out. But Haney's not really on social media. His pops is. His pops are on here talking to the media outlets, right? Why is he in a straitjacket when it comes to being pushed to the next level? Because what I'm hearing is they saying he was a boring fighter and all that. But I said his fight against Jorge Linares, he absolutely fought that fight different. He was much more aggressive, and he looked damn good doing it. It's boxing. He went in there and boxed Linares. But you can't praise a fighter who just got stopped, right, by Montana Love. We're talking about Baranchik. We can't praise Baranchik and Cepeda knocking each other's heads off and goddamn hammering each other with multiple knockdowns. But yet we're going to criticize Haney for getting touched and stumbling and, back to his corner and coming out the championship rounds and fighting smart. We can't sit up here and criticize him for that. But we're going to praise Baranchik and Cepeda? What? You know how many fighters that has popular names has been down? We're going to praise Oscar Valdez for fighting with a broken jaw? How did his jaw get broken in a fight? We're going to criticize Terrence Crawford for getting touched by Green Machine? But there's plenty of other fighters that's been touched, and no one's really talking about that at all. They get dropped. No one's really talking about that shit at all. And not to mention, the Wilder Fury situation. You don't want to talk about that shit. I mean, it just goes on and on, man. But Haney's in a bad place because that's his first division. It was just fucked up all the way around with Eddie Hearns, man. Because the way he received the belt, he defended. I know it's old news now, but let's look at the fighters who are receiving belts like that. Haney, Yordenis Ugas. It just seems to slow them down. But I thought I would see Haney in a position as Yordenis Ugas before Ugas was in the position. Real talk. I thought I would have seen him in the position of which Ugas was able to get with Manny Pacquiao. I'm talking about with a big name before Ugas. I really did. I thought that would be it. Gotta keep it G though. Which one of those guys have the WBC actually mandated to fight Haney? WBC ain't wasting their time. We all know them boys ain't fighting Haney. Something need to happen. Because how does Devin Haney continue to make money off mid-tier fighters? The whole process, he's young in the game, right? That's a plus. That's a huge plus. He's extremely talented boxer. That's plus number 2, 3, 4. He can box. We just have to look at it like, how long is it going to take? I think deep down inside behind closed doors, they are being patient. But there are some other stars just like Haney that's young as he is too. You got the Lopez's that's going to be on track. You're not going to have Ryan Garcia in the sport that long. Ryan Garcia might be around another 3 years, and he's going to be doing movies and shit. That's where he needs to be. But they're going to be fighters moving up. They're going to be Shakur Stevensons. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be the Chris Colberts. There's going to be plenty of other people moving up, potentially. So when age come around to it, you're going to have to deal with the other young lines that's moving up at the same time. That's going to be in your class. Watching Gervonta Davis do what he did with Mario Barrios doesn't seem that easy, huh? Because people was like, oh, Gervonta coming up from 130 to 135. Look how he moved, though. Gervonta sidestepped and slid into the ring, fought Gamboa, stopped him in 12 rounds, chilled, took time off, came back with another one, shocked everybody. I mean, come on, man. You got to commend that dude the way he moving. So all them cats, Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, man, they got to move. Teofimo, he got his big fight with Lomachenko. He got the job done. I think if that's the case with Haney, fighting a big fight, I don't know why he couldn't get freaking Lomachenko. People would have liked to see that fight. Both of them boxers too. Oh, man, it would have been great to see that shit. We want to check out the speed. We want to check out the movement. Man, that shit, that would have been a damn good fight, man. These fighters reach mandatory status, but the WBC hasn't actually mandated the fight. Fortuna, Ryan, and now Lil Jojo. Yeah, I had so much respect for Jojo too. And I'm like, bro, you're trying to chase the social media followers? Like, why couldn't you make the fight happen? Did they try to lowball you? I mean, you just now coming up to the 35 division. You get a fight with Fortuna, people are not jumping up and down, clapping their hands like, oh shit, we're looking forward to JoJo's next fight. I don't know, bro. Like, something ain't right, man. Fortuna, I'm not even gonna waste my oxygen on him. All of them you just mentioned, Fortuna, Ryan, man, come on, man. JoJo. Oh my God, man. Boxing is just a catastrophe right now, man. You think Wilder Fury going to happen? There's been zero promotion for it so far. I know, man. Believe me, I've been sitting back in the shadows, looking. I'm still bomb squad all day, but I'm just looking for something, to talk about, like with that fight. And I think I can go in here and create topics. That's just not the way I do it. Like, I'm not going to go in here and create a topic just to talk about something dealing with Wilder Fury. I like to have something that's credible out there. I just don't want to like create scenarios because we already been through a scenario. The scenario was arbitration. Then we had another scenario that was basically swirling around by Eddie Hearns. He was out here trying to convince the people that Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury was going to fight in August. That was smoke. Then another scenario, Deontay Wilder wins arbitration. Now, will Tyson Fury step in the ring? And Deontay said it. Deontay said, I don't even think he's gonna step in the ring. Something else gonna happen. I don't think the fight gonna. Sure enough, man, the fight didn't happen. I guess they saw them Fury. Fury and his team saw those videos. They say, "Oh, my daughter's sick." I mean, come on, man. I said this before. I say you have a person like Tyson Fury that's a scoundrel, right? He continue to do bad things, but yet his daughter gets sick, and people want to be all soft and sensitive, and say, "Oh, well, the kids said this." Man, get out of here! Because if it was a black fighter or anybody black for that instance that continue to treat people like shit, and some people in their family got sick, they'd be like, "Oh, that's what they deserve. God don't like ugly. God don't like ugly. That's what they get." You know damn well that's what it is. You know damn well that's the way it is. But you get a European fighter that continue to cheat the sport, trying to put people in a wheelchair. We have Jerry McLean, we have Adonis Stevenson, we have all these fighters, man, that has suffered in the ring, right? And as of recent, Zapata, right? But we continue to praise and allow Tyson Fury to run around here with no shirt on. And then we see Goofball, they're emulating Tyson Fury. But if a black fighter was to walk around, I remember the criticism that Deontay received when he walked into the arena with I don't know what he was wearing, a Kodiak chinchilla. He was walking in there like an OG to the press conference. That's unprofessional. He doesn't have a shirt on. You know what I'm saying? But Tyson Fury can walk around here looking like a freaking maggot and don't nobody say anything. Looking like a character off Men in Black. Looking like an overcooked rice grain. I just don't get it, man. I still can't believe the WBC cleared Oscar and said, Furthermine, I think it's Feathermine is no longer on the banned ped list. I can believe it, bro. When it comes to Mauricio Sulaiman and his Mexican fighters, I can believe it. Fucking Jake Paul is better prospect than Ryan Garcia. Yeah, but that's a fight that we'll never see. Because when we talk about the Goofball brothers, man, they making money and boxers don't seem too disturbed about it. So continue to let them make money. You know what I'm saying? Tyron Woodley could have knocked his ass and put him to sleep, but he wasn't in there to put him to sleep. Floyd Mayweather, we heard the audio. Logan Paul said, "Hey, come on, Floyd, this is supposed to be an exhibition." Floyd was getting in his ass and let him know, "Hey, I can fuck you up at any given time. Don't get it twisted." I agree. It's been talked about every which way for way too long now. Right? For sure, man. Bob ain't feeding Loma to no young lions unless he signed a top gank. Flop rank. Shit, man. It just seems like automatically, like Bob put the gavel down. Nope, we having Teofimo Lopez and Vasil Lomachenko. And check this out, Andrew, Mitch, IB. Look, it didn't happen. This did not happen until Teofimo Lopez's contract was restructured. When he was over there with freaking winning purse bids with Triller and the shit never happened, then somehow in between time, Bob Arum say, hey, let's restructure this contract after he done dogged the man the fuck out. He dogged him out. He restructured his contract and said, you're going to make me the money. All right? You don't ever go against me. We're going to keep this in-house. And your next opponent's Vasil Lomachenko in a rematch. You understand? And we're going to put it on PPV. I mean, come on, man. There's some political shit went on with Teofimo Lopez and Top Rank. Free Hoover on deck. What's good there with you, Hoover, on this Friday? It's ass commission that cleared it. Just like when Chavez Jr. popped dirty and Hearns had the fight go to AZ. How many times have we seen fighters, especially across the pond, not to totally switch the subject, but how many times have we seen these fighters pop dirty over there because they have a therapeutic exemption? How many? How many have we seen, people? How many times have we seen these fighters pop dirty? And the reason is therapeutic exemption. It wasn't anything. Dillian White's B sample disappearing. Daniel Dubois comes over here after getting beat up with a jab. He knocks out his opponent, and people saying, oh, he's ready. How can he be ready? And he lost to a slow fighter, an older fighter that easily beat his ass. He's not ready for Anthony Joshua. It doesn't matter if you knocked him out in sparring or not. You still not ready, man. Fight Deontay, man. Fight Dillian White. Fight somebody. Chavez Jr. versus Jake Paul. The only thing I have with that, Hoover, with Chavez Jr. is that I've seen him be a punching bag with Canelo Alvarez in a real fight. We've seen him quit. Okay. In modern era, we've seen him quit because his injury, and people was throwing full pepperoni log sausages at him. They was motherfucking throwing Papa John boxes, breaking beer bottles on his head, wine bottles. They just didn't care, man. I don't. Chavez Jr. would go in there with Jake Paul and make Jake Paul look like he a world champion, because he totally understands his position when that happened. He understands his position. It'll be boring, man. It'll be just like Canelo Alvarez when he had the fight signed with Gennady Golovkin. Chavez would be a punching bag. He won't even try to beat Jake Paul ass, man. Anderson Silva versus Jake Paul. Hell no, man. Respect to the legend. Hell no, don't do it, Anderson Silva. Because Jake Paul knocked your ass out. Oh my goodness. Damn. His motherfucking IG followers are gonna go up 3 million. We ain't trying to see Anderson Silva go in there and get knocked out by a YouTuber. Now you want to send his son in there now. Anderson Silva's son? Okay, cool. Let's do it. Chavez Jr. would beat the shit out of Jake Paul. We all know that. Chavez Jr. would take the dive, though. That's all I'm saying on the back end, man. That's all I'm saying, Mitch. We'll take that dive quick, though. That's all I'm saying. We know Chavez would take the dive quick. That's fact. That's fact, man. Period. That's all I'm saying. He'll just make the fight look bad. and make Jake Paul look like he should be fighting for a world championship. We don't want to see that shit, man. But it's been a pleasure, man. I have to bounce. It's Friday, man. I'll be back on here tomorrow. I appreciate everyone for pulling up once again and supporting World Combat Sports. And until next time, man. Y'all like, if you was in the building and didn't like, hit the like button, man. Share the content and support. And see you tomorrow. I'm out.
Pardon me and my tone. You can't step to my throne. They ain't working like me. I did this on my own. You asking where we been, huh? I don't know where to begin, huh? All this dirt on my skin. I just came here to win. I'm more than a man, I'm a monster. Somebody call a pastor, doctor. I got a 6th sense for imposters. So now I'm coming for the whole roster. It's not a game, why you playing with me? You could double back, lose track, try and hang with me. It must be in my veins, something you can't tame, cause I break the chains. Can't control me. I got the power, I got the keys, cause I break the chains. They try to hold me, I'ma push back. Just wait and you'll see. Please excuse me, your honor, but you can't hold me no longer. Can't you feel the vibrations? I broke out and left traces. Go ahead, try catch me if you can, man. You'll be looking all night, I'm the Sandman. New York, London to Japan. I'ma show the whole world who I am. Boom, boom, boom. Major look.